This is what happens when you follow through and working on your business and getting it right. You give yourself all of this time to earn more money.
I set up a company. The Google ad space was saturated at the time. So I'm trying to pick up business, but there's so much competition. So I just put traffic out. That same day, people were calling me now. And they were like, oh, we've been looking for someone like you for so long. Rather than me trying to persuade someone, they're coming to me. The sell was so much easier at this point, right? That event changed everything because we were in an intimate event with 50 to 60 sellers, all of them potential clients. And that gave us the biggest edge for about 3 years.
You are Mr. Nice Guy, yeah?
Forget that I spent thousands to sponsor this event and spent so much on flights and incredible accommodation. Just one conversation, so one evening is going to pay for all of this. And that's the thing. So for me,
Have you gone from 10 hours of working a day to 4 hours a week, or is it 16 hours a day?
It was about 16 hours. It wasn't always like that. I think during COVID, there was a massive demand for what we do. Obviously, there's less people spending money on travel and leisure, and most of it was just spent on Amazon. And a lot of our clients are those who sell on Amazon. There was a huge demand for kind of what we did. And obviously, you can't leave the house, so there's nothing else to do. So just ended up working most of those hours. So I went 16 hours a day.
Pretty much at a computer?
At a computer.
Structuring your business?
Yeah.
And now you're doing 4 hours a week?
About that, yeah.
What's the secret?
Get yourself a disease that stops you from working. There was more to it, actually. So I think it got to a stage where we had some real growth pains at that point. And that was when I noticed, and that's when I knew I needed some help.
What were the growth pains?
So a massive amount of new clients coming on board.
All right, so influx of new customers.
Yeah. And then we didn't have as much support to actually service those customers. So it meant I had to kind of get involved and actually do the day-to-day account management, plus manage all the relationships, plus train and support those new members of the team to kind of do the job too. So I was the bottleneck and everyone came through me. And that was kind of a big issue.
Yeah, you see a lot of people have got the reverse of that challenge where they want to get more and more new customers.
Yeah.
But I've seen it, I've felt it. I've interviewed loads of people that have had too many customers, and it is a painful period.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It's make or break. It can destroy you.
Why?
Well, it's all about reputation at the end of it. I think if you don't service them well enough and you don't look after them, the word will spread about you. And I think very quickly. And I think that's the one.
Did it start happening to you?
No. I didn't let us. I was working 16 hours a day. I was just like, this isn't going to happen to me. I'm going to make sure, everyone we look after, we're going to do as best as we can to support them. And if there were some relationships that didn't work out the way we wanted it to, we wanted to go above and beyond just to ensure we finished well. But then again, at that point, it was a boom. So everyone was buying on Amazon. The number of the conversion rates, so the percentage of people actually going on Amazon to buy in was a lot higher than usual because there was that additional disposable income people could use on Amazon. So it was really hard to mess it up at that time. So,
right. Really powerful phrase that. It can destroy you. Did someone teach you that, or did you just...
No, because it almost happened. That's right.
It accumulated and
it was overwhelming. It was overwhelming. Yeah, it was too much. I couldn't sleep at night, and I was addicted to my emails, and whatever came in. I don't know where this rule came from, but I just had this idea: if someone emails me, I have to respond straight away, just to ensure.
To be fair, it's a quick reply and speed of communication is not a bad idea, really, is it? No,
it's not. It's not. But when it gets to a point where I think there's certain clients that we worked with that kind of abused that relationship and kind of kept going and stuff. But anyway, that was just one element of it. I think it had an impact on my health massively, and I know this is kind of one of the big reasons why I have what I have now, which is inflammatory bowel disease.
Right.
I think.
Do you think that was caused from starting your business and being stressed?
I think it was. I think that was one of the reasons why. Kind of.
What's it like running a business with a disease?
Just manage it, I guess. Like I think over time you get used to dealing with it. And I think there's different people with different diseases and illnesses.
Right.
I'm fortunate so I'm really fortunate because if I go back, so basically what happened is you asked the question of people want more business and they want that, and that was me for years. So I've been doing it for 13 years now. So when I initially started doing this, I wasn't getting much work in. We were doing mostly Google Ads. I knew how to do Google Ads really well because a friend of mine, I worked with him, and he kind of helped me understand and learn the whole platform. And I knew at that point, I was like, right, this is going to change my life. This is completely going to change my life. So
Which bit?
Okay, so he brought me in to do sales because I was working at a sales company, but I was awful at sales. I was so bad. Like I the first call I picked up to do a code call, I was so nervous. I just hung up on the guy, right? So I hung up on the guy, but then the guy called back. No, he called back and he went.
This was your first call.
His name was Wayne, right? You call and then he called back, and then he's like,
What was his business? Do you remember? Because we've got to make sure he listens to
oh,
this.
I wish I can't remember literally because Simon, my expert site, he put his number in. He said, call that number and sell him Google Ads. So I called and I was like, hi, is this is this the company owner? He went, yeah. And I was like, oh, and I hung up. And he called back and he goes, did you just call me? And I was like, yeah. And he went, why do you hang up? And I froze, and then he hung up on me, and I was like, this is just awful. So anyway, so that was my life for about a month, trying to do this sales call, and it wasn't working. And I saw like what is called an account manager, right? And this for me was the dream. And this guy called Nick, he would walk into the office, right? Speak to no one. He's got his headphones on with a coffee, sit down on his desk and just work away until lunchtime. I'm quite introverted, so in the mornings I don't like to talk to anyone. So in my mind I was like, this is the dream job for me, just because of that, because he didn't have to speak to anyone. He just got on with his work. Lunchtime, goes to lunch, and then he's a bit more chat in the afternoon. So I was like, right. So a few people asked Simon if we can they can move into account management, and he absolutely ripped them and said no way. But I had a friendship with him as well, so I was like, right, let me try. So I went over and I was like, "Si, is there any chance I could do account management?" And he went, yeah. And I knew from that point, that's it. My life.
Why do you
has
think
changed.
he said yes to you?
We had a good relationship outside of
all right.
that. So we had one common thing.
You weighed in on friendship.
Friendship, yeah. So I leveraged that, but so we knew each other from a Christian organisation, so we do a lot of work with young people. So right. That's our hearts and passion. So we share that same interest. So anyway, so did that, and then he put me into account management. And then what happened is his like retention of the staff weren't that good, because he was like he really didn't know what he was doing at the time, because he was quite new to it. Like I was quite new to it. We were all quite fresh, right? So people weren't sticking around as long. So it got to a point where I was around longer than everyone. So when people left, I obviously had the pickings of the accounts that they had. So I was just taking the biggest accounts. And by the end, I had most of the biggest accounts the company had. So at that point, I kind of really understood it all.
That's quite a good thing, though, isn't it, for the people listening? You hang around long enough, you'll accumulate all the good stuff. I
mean, there's so many young people now. I always hear them say, oh, I want to move into a career, I want to start something. I'm like, no, find someone who, whatever you want to do, find someone who's really good at it and go work with them. Even volunteer for a bit. And a lot of people don't like to hear that, but volunteer, because you're going to really pick up skills you're not going to learn anywhere else. And that's what I was so fortunate enough to do. Like, I was able to not only pick up the theory from Google that not many people really understood at the time. It was not in textbooks. It was moving too fast for anyone to write on it and keep up to date. But I was actually able to apply a lot of what I was learning. And then Google will come out with a new beta, and we were able to test it. And then we can straight away know if it works or it doesn't work. So we were at the cutting edge of really being able to move at the pace that Google was moving at. And then it got to a point when I was with Si, I was like, right, I could probably do this on my own now. And I had there was a few moments when I was like, saw some opportunities and they weren't like taken far enough. Like, I think it was a lot of code calling. And then one day, Si did this email marketing campaign, and it brought in probably 4 or 5x whatever we made in a month through that one campaign.
What was so good about that campaign?
It was email marketing. It was literally, we found a list of a whole load of Google Ads account owners, and we just emailed them to say, hey, do you want, do you need any help? So we went from, calling a few hundred a day with a whole load of a sales team to emailing out thousands and thousands of people. And this is, you're talking 2010, right? So we sent out these email campaigns, and I was like, dude, do it again, do it. And he goes, no, I'm not going to do it again. So I was like, oh my goodness, it's like money on the floor here. So that happened, and then the company moved to Brighton, and the commute was kind of taking its toll on me. And I was working with the Christian charity as well, so I was doing that part time, and kind of I really enjoyed that, and I didn't want to give that up because it had like a real sense of purpose in it. So I was doing that, and then at that point, and then when he was kind of looking to sell the business, I thought that this is when I need to kind of go it alone. And I set up a company because I studied business management at uni, so I knew I kind of how to set up a company and mess around with that kind of stuff. So I set it up, put it as dormant, like wasn't doing anything with it. And then a few months later, I bought some supplements. Right? Oh, what's his name? Oh, his name is David. This changed my life. This guy, absolute legend. Bought some supplements, and it came really like in a state. It came through in a state through the post. So I messaged the company and said, look, this is pictures. This is how your products have come through on the post. They're great, but like half of it I can't even use, etc., etc. And then the owner emailed me back and said, I'm really sorry this has happened. If you have any issues or any questions, just feel free to give me a call. So I called him, and he was really nice. I picked up. We discussed kind of what he was doing, and I said, look, they're great, but this is the issue. He goes, look, I'm going to sort it out. And I said, brilliant. And at the end of that conversation, I asked him one question: how is your Google Ads account doing? And he went, oh, it's so bad. And I'm so glad I asked him, because he really went off on one and started telling me kind of all the things he's got wrong with it. So I said, look, let me do an audit for you, and it's completely free of charge. I just want to see if I can help. Did the audit. There was obvious issues in the account. And obviously, for me, I've been doing this for 3 years. This is like, I don't know, you're asking me to set up a Facebook account for someone. It was just, like, I was spotting these issues like no tomorrow. And then so I put them out, showed him the issues, and then he went, okay, I'll give you a shot for 1 month. And I was like, yes. So I kind of put my company back up, and it was already set, and it was already there and active. So £500 a month. And I was like, come on, this is brilliant. So I was like, the account came on. After a month, we absolutely smashed it. We increased sales we reduced costs. So he was really happy. He's like, right, let's just crack on. Let's just keep doing this. And so I was working with Sai, doing this on the side and working for the charity. And it was taking its toll. And I said, right, I'm going to start then he recommended me to someone else. So there's another piece of business that came in. So I was loving all of it, but it got to a point where it's too much. So the free, and then that kind of was another reason why I kind of had to decide, okay, I'm going to have to stop working with Sai. And then, so I kind of ended that with Simon in really good terms and stuff. And he actually sold and his business as well, so he did quite well for himself. But then I was on, okay, now from kind of a main salary to just these two, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to really pound at it. And it was 100 calls a day. And so, you know, when you said earlier, so this is a long-winded way of answering your question, when you said, okay, how do I now get this new business, right? So I was calling every day, 100. So I had just, as long as I get through 100, people were telling me to get a life. They were telling me, like swearing at me, words I can't say on this podcast. Literally, I had it all. And I'm not thick-skinned at all. I take things to heart. So every day it was just like, I'm not looking forward to this, but I had to do it. This is just, had to keep going. And then eventually I built it up, and it got to a stage where I made a decent amount coming in. So I got to a stage where I was doing about 4,000, and I was like, right, now it's time to move to the big leagues. I need an office. Right, I can't work from the house anymore, so I kind of hired an office because I wanted to hire someone. And I found a young lady, Megan, like wonderful young lady, and then she came on board. But then that's when I had to kind of learn how to manage people, and she was like my guinea pig, and bless her, she was great, and kind of. We worked really well together, but the business wasn't growing when she came on, and actually was declining. And then at that point, I was like, right, I need to do something else. So I started a painting and decorating company just to kind of fill the void. She could see that. So she got a few job offers, because with what I was teaching at the time, a few months in, it's gold, right? You're gonna get job offers everywhere. So then she got a job somewhere else, TUI. She went to TUI at the time, and then I met another young lady in the office, and she was keen to work at Google, and I said, look, give me work with me for a bit, and I can get you there. It'd be pretty straightforward. And then she came on board, and she left after 4 months. But anyway, so I overachieved there, so it was too quick. I got there too quick.
You kind of told her you were going to do that, though.
Yeah, I
work
did.
For me, I'll get you there.
Yeah, but she's been pinnacle, and this is the bit I could have been sour. She is we are so close now, right? And she's the one that got me into Amazon. It's because of her I got into Amazon.
You switched your business model.
Yeah, switched the business model, and I think this is the key thing. When people are looking for business. The Google Ads space was saturated at the time. So I'm trying to pick up business where there's so much competition. So I constantly was just trying different things. I tried Facebook ads, I tried web design, I tried Twitter ads, I tried Expedia ads, I tried TripAdvisor ads, I tried all of these things. None of them worked. And then we came across Amazon ads. This is 7 or so years ago. Emily called me up and said, I went for an interview at Amazon. They said, no agency's taking this seriously, George, get on it. And I was like, okay, right. I don't really know what I'm doing. Right, but I know Google Ads and I know how to do a landing page. So I created a landing page, said Amazon Ads Expert, right? Put some Google Ads behind it. It was 50p a click, right, at the time. So now, to give you some perspective, like $22 to $30 a click, right? It's 50p a click for this traffic.
It's $30 a click now.
Oh, easy, yeah, $30 a click, especially in the US market. It's $30. You can get away with about £25 here. Yeah. That's how much it is. So it's 50p. It was dirt cheap traffic, right? So I just put traffic out. That same day, people were calling me now, and they were like, "Oh, we've been looking for someone like you for so long."
Because you had the landing page.
I had a landing page, but there's no one who did Amazon advertising at the time. There was no agency that did Amazon ads, right? So they came to me, right? So this is a completely different perspective for me. Rather than me trying to persuade someone, they're coming to me. The sell was so much easier at this point, right? So then I said, okay, we're on to something here. And I said, look, I'll be honest with you, I've never done this before on Amazon, right? But I know Google Ads incredibly well. And Amazon is incredibly basic compared to Amazon, right? It's in its infancy, right?
So you told them the truth.
Told them the truth, right? So I said to them, for 2 months, just don't pay me anything, right? If you're happy with what I'm doing, then let's talk numbers, but just let me do this. And I said, okay, great. So did it. Oh my goodness, it was a third of the work of Google Ads, a third of the work. And I was like, okay, this is something special here. And then we started charging double the amount we charged with Google Ads. And then after 2 months, they're like, yeah, George, just do it. And I was like, okay, great. So we did it. So I had Tom, who was like the guy I got. So he's my third hire, and he's still with me now. He's ace.
You've kept Tom.
He's ace.
You've not told him to go to Amazon or
he's
Google.
ace. He is something special. He's kind of stayed on. And anyway, so between the two of us, kind of learned the process, and then we got some blogs out. And I think this is the key thing when you go into something. It's something that's undiscovered yet. The scary thing is it's unknown, right? You don't know if you're going to fail, but the opportunities are endless, right? Because this is the really cool bit. So we wrote an article about Amazon ads. We put it online. The founder of a company called Psychometrics reached out to us. So this is a huge firm in the US. They're one of the big software providers for Amazon. They look after at least, at a time, about 7% of all Amazon ads, right, through their software. So he reached out, said, George, we love what you're doing. Why don't you use our software? I was like, okay, we'll try it out. We tried it out. It was pretty good, right? So we said, okay, this is good. And this is the key thing. Okay, before I move into the key thing, this is when I knew I messed up. I put all my Google Ads efforts into the UK, right? It was a very simple copy-paste switch from UK to US. I could have done on Google Ads to show my ads in the US. I reckon our company would have been mid-8 figures a year if I did that at the time, right? Because it was just much bigger market, bigger numbers. We could have really cleaned up, but we didn't do that. So 2 years down the line, I noticed I messed up. So I was like, right, I need to put all my efforts into the US now. So then he said to me, Alistair, he said, George, you and your team, you need to be at the Prosper Show. You cannot afford not to be at the Prosper Show.
What's the Prosper Show? So
the Prosper Show is one of the biggest Amazon seller events in the world. It's based in Vegas, and it's a convention that happens once a year. They get world-renowned speakers.
Do you know, for any industry, forget the ads for a second, be at the major event in that industry.
Hmm.
So you got told you need to be at this event.
Yeah, but more than that, he said you need to be at this event and you need to be the sponsor. So you need to be one of the sponsors. And I was like, I looked at the package, it was like $7,000, $7,000, and I was like, oh my God, I do not have $7,000. So I went to the bank, right? I said, hey, can you give me $12,000, right? £12,000, and they're like, and I was like, equipment, to buy new computers for my team and stuff, because they wouldn't give it to me for an event. So I took a huge gamble. I was like, right, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this right. And I got a massive appetite for risk. Right? I didn't really think this through well, but I was like, right, I'm going to do this.
Right.
So then I literally flew the whole team to Vegas. There's about 7 or 8 of us, the whole team to Vegas. We got a booth. And this is the crazy thing. We got there. There was no PPC company there. We were the only PPC management company at this event. Right? We were next to multi-million pound companies. And at the time, we were doing $250,000. Right? We were small fish. I knew this. And I was like, right, poker face, guys, poker face.
Yeah.
We couldn't believe it. One guy was like, George, I went out for a cigarette and I met this Israeli guy. He has 12 accounts and he wants us to manage it all. This guy, I just had lunch with this guy and he wants us to manage it all. We were getting business from all over the place, right? And this is unreal. And then there was this one guy, and he's known in the space. Like his name's Kevin King, right? And he's a massive
it's a good name.
Influencer. Yeah. So he's a big influencer in the space. And when I heard him speak 2 months before in New York, he held the room for an hour and a half. The content he shared was just phenomenal. All actionable content you can go away and do stuff with. And he really knew his stuff. He went and sat on the table right next to my booth, right, with this other guy, Steve, who I didn't know at the time, but he's a big dog, right? So they're sitting there in my booth, right? I was there with my colleagues, Antonio. I literally just left him, got some food, and just sat right next to them and played it cool, right? So my team was sitting on this side, and then they were sitting on this side. So I was talking to my team, and then I kind of played it cool. And hey, Kevin, it's nice to meet you. I'm George. You know, I heard you speak in the SGTG event in New York in January, and it was great. And he went, oh, great. So he asked me, is this your company? Is this all you? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, this is your team? And he went, yeah. And then he said to me at that point, George, I'm putting on a private event. This is for high-level sellers, at least $1 million a year plus sellers, right? Some will be doing over 100 million a year. It's going to be in Austin, Texas, and we are looking for some sponsors. Would you be interested? And I was like, done. Sign me up. And he went, you don't even know how much it is, George. I said, Kevin, I want to be there. Just sign me up. Give me your card. He gave me his card, and I said, look, I want to do this. And he goes, okay. So he's like, so he gave me a really good price at the time. He's like, George, I really like you. It's $7,500 to sponsor, but I'm going to give it to you for $5,000. And I said, look, I'm going to email you my American Express credit card. Just charge the card. Just charge it. I'm there, right? That event changed everything because we were in an intimate event with 50 to 60 sellers, all of them potential clients. And not only that, incredible relationships have come through that. Like, I have friends now that I've met at that event that we still kind of talk and do things with. And that was kind of the birth of it. So when we went into Amazon PPC at the time, and then kind of learned how to do things. And then at that point, PPC started to become more saturated, so more people got into the space. But then at one of his events, someone told me, have you ever heard of the demand side platform? Like programmatic advertising. And I said, yeah, I heard of it, but can't really do that with Amazon. He goes, no, you can. So this is a way you can target people who have viewed certain items on Amazon. You can imagine the richness of this data, right? Someone who's bought a coffee machine, they're probably going to want to test out their new coffee machine with different coffee beans, right? You can target anyone who's just bought a coffee machine with additional coffee bean products, right? I said, I want access to this platform. I want it. And then he was, yeah. So this one guy was like, I'll give it to you. You can probably do it through my account, but let's talk when we get back. And he never responded to me. Right. So I was like, right. I went on for 4 hours a day on LinkedIn to find anyone who worked at Amazon who could potentially give me access to my own entity, right? This is gold, right? And I just emailed. And then 2 to 3 weeks down the line, someone came back to me and said, oh, the guy you need to speak to, funny enough, his name's Jeffrey, right? So 2 guys sent me the same email as Jeffrey, and I was like, okay, great. I was like, I need access to Amazon ESP. And it was so easy. He went, yeah, sure. I'm just going to send you an agreement. Just sign it. And then we'll give you your own entity so you can actually have access to do this platform. And I was like, this is unreal. So bearing in mind, I had this guy who was doing like 8 figures a year on Amazon St. George. Get it on as fast as possible because I have some money to throw at you to test this out. He's just desperate. Then I had another guy, again, 8 figures. And they were like, George, we want to do it. Hurry up, get it. So I had some pressure. So I got it, and then he was like, then he didn't explain to me when I looked at the contract, it's a UK entity. And I was like, I wanted the US entity. He goes, no, US, you've got to be doing 100,000 ad spend a month to kind of get that. And I was like, okay, well, what's the alternatives? I found a way around. I went through like a third party to begin with, got access to the US, and that gave us the biggest edge for about 3 years. Like, biggest edge over everyone because we were the only ones. They gave me money to test with it. There was no guide on how to do it. Like, we basically wrote a curriculum on how to do DSP ads, right? So we took a bit from the company that supported us, but they weren't focused on endemic advertisers, which is kind of those who sell on Amazon, so brands that sell on Amazon. They were focused more on kind of anything outside of Amazon. So they helped us kind of introduce it, but then we wrote a whole layout, and then we went, you know what? So my team thought I was crazy for this, right? But whenever any agency reached out and said, hey, we want some help, I just told them, this is how you do it. Here's my SOP. We spent ages working on it. Just take it. And they were like, well, do you want any money for it? I said, no, just take it. So we're just giving it to anyone. I was like, there's enough in this space for many people. I'd rather have like good relationships than like mess things up. So now I was like, right, whatever. And you know what? Every time we gave this stuff away, more stuff came in, and I was like, great, like there's enough for everyone to eat. You have to understand, like, I never thought the business will get to where it is. Like, never on my wildest dreams. So I'm so content and happy at that point.
Look, there's a number of things that you've said here. I mean, I think this is a story of, like, you are Mr. Nice Guy, yeah? You've not got thick skin, you take everything personal, but you jump in, you're 100% in, you're willing to take the risk. That story of going to the bank and getting the 12 grand, taking yourself over there. Come on, poker face, guys. Finding a way.
Yeah.
finding a way and look at the result that you've had. I mean, are you number one in your space?
No. No way. No. We're not number one at the space. In the UK, yeah, we're up there. But I think there's doors that have been open for certain people, and the one area that we've not managed to break through is kind of enterprise level accounts, like big brands.
You have got relationships with key players.
Oh yeah, all of them
around the world.
Yeah.
What's the secret to that? To developing that relationship with the big players all around the world?
Integrity and consistency.
Integrity, tell us more. Okay,
so once you're into these, like once you're sitting on the table, you have to bear in mind, like you're sitting next to human beings, right? They have lives, right? So I'm not the smartest person in the room. Like, I can honestly admit that. People know that. My team are way more smarter than me. So when people ask me to speak at events, I'm like, why me and not this guy who knows it way better than me? I say, we want you because you're the owner. And which I think is just, you get much better content and delivery from this person, but fine, I'll do it. But, if someone asks me a question, I would say, I don't know. Like, let me get back to you. Someone on my team will know. And that's kind of my point. I'm not going to try and waffle on. But I think the main thing is my superpower is people. I think I'm really good with just people, and when you're sitting next to these people, the question that they don't get asked is, how are you doing? How's life? How's your wife? How's your kids?
So is that what you do?
Yeah. What's new? Tell me a bit. All they do is talk about business. Let's just talk about something. Let's go to that, there's a live band over there. Let's go watch them. Let's go and spend time together and do that. And I think what happens is they end up noticing, okay, he's an okay guy to hang out with. And I think the main thing is always reminding people how people remember how you make them feel more than what you say or anything like that. And I think that's the main thing, is that let me just never ask for anything from anyone. And if I can, I will help in any way I can. Now it's a different level.
Well, it is a different level because not only have you built your business, you've got a mastermind group of all of the bigwigs from all over the world that want to come to work. And you bring them all together. You bring the big wigs all together.
I can't. Well, you've done your research, haven't you? Yeah. So at that point, it was more relationships. So it was more, okay, let me just get to know these people, and I got to know them. And then there was a few people who were a little bit weird with me. They were a little bit kind of, they didn't want to know who. And I said, you know what? I'm like, let's just don't waste time with them. You know, if they don't want to conversate, and I've had people where I've been introduced, I go to speak, and they just walk away.
Do you wear your hat when you come? Are you wearing are you natural like this?
Yeah. This is when I learned. So when I was in the US, in the UK, I used to wear shirts. I used to wear nice clothes. I used to try and look presentable. And then I went to the US, and you got these guys, big sellers, like massive brands. They're wearing a cap. They're wearing the tightest t-shirt, and they've got a pop belly. And I was like, they have no care of like how they dress. And to be honest, it's gotten to a stage now where I'm just like, I want people to not. I would rather be seen as the least significant in the room, and just quietly just look around, and rather than try and present myself as something better than I am. So anyway, so I like that. And in this space, they all know who I am, and it's not really a big deal. And there's nothing I want from anyone, right? So I'm pretty content with how things are going. But so that was that stage where I didn't really have much to offer. But then now my network has grown, right? So I know all the big sellers, and all I'm doing is just taking information. Well, how do you do this? Or, what do you do here? Well, how do you do that? And then I'll meet another massive seller, and I'll be like, oh, I'm having issues with this. And I said, all right, okay, stay there. Let me go and find this person, and let me connect to you. And then I said, hey, you're good at this. You're good at kind of, I don't know, like inventory and logistics. He's really struggling. He's a big brand. Why don't you guys talk? And then at the end of it, that George, I got more value from the connections you made at this event than anything else. So people kept saying that to me. I was like, okay. So then I thought, okay, let me take it up a notch. So I was like, right, so we went back to Prosper in Vegas. I said, right, let me do a dinner for the bigger sellers, because there's a whole load of small sellers here, and I think they're getting a little bit kind of annoyed that they can't speak to someone on their level. So I said, right. So I invited 5 that big sellers. Hey, I'm doing some dinner on the day. I said, like, dinner at this place, really nice Japanese restaurant. Come along 5 o'clock. I've got it covered. I'll pay for it. And they're like, okay. And they're like, oh, God, can I bring this friend? He too is a massive seller. I said, yeah, of course you can. Just bring him along. And then they brought a few more of these massive sellers and brands. And then it was like 12. And I was like, oh my goodness. So my network has just grown so naturally over a meal.
Right. For someone that said 20 minutes ago they didn't have thick skin, you know, where do you get your courage from to go for it like this?
It's like there was gaps. So I see gaps. And then when I see gaps, I just want to fill it. And there's no trying to make some money off it or anything like that. It's just, here's a gap. There's all these big sellers, and they keep telling me, oh, it's just so annoying now. This event is so saturated with a lot of service providers who are trying to sell them stuff. There's a lot of small sellers that are trying to just sap information and learn from them. They want to be around other people that like themselves. I say, okay, well, I could do that. Let me just try it. Oh, I drive my team crazy.
Well, you've brought people together by connecting them.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't bring people together because the threat of, well, they don't need me anymore if I connect them. But the perception for you is you run the mastermind now. Yeah.
So the way that came up is I said, right, the first year is I'm not going to make any money at this event. I'm just going to run an event in London, and I'm going to invite people from all over the world. So I think did it first time last year. I think we had like 300 million in a room in total revenue together, and that was like 15, 16 people, right? And then I was bold, and I invited I invited a few massive sellers. Like, these are like 9-figure sellers, right? And I didn't include their numbers in there because it would just skewed everything. You know, doing over 100 million a year. And I said, look, do you want to come to my event? And they said yes. And I was like, oh my goodness, right? I was like, this is crazy. So they all came, and they blew everyone away, because at this event, everyone was like, George, you should speak at the event. I was like, nope, it's not about me. Everyone knows what I do. Most of the room wasn't my client. It's not about me. It's about them. And then I made them do the work. So I said to them, what are you good at that you can share? And what are you not good at that you can learn from someone else? So I made a list. I made intros on kind of who needed to speak to who. And the presentations that came out were just absolutely outstanding, right? Phenomenal. But like a huge thing came from that, because hands down, one of the best speakers I've ever heard in my life, one of the most intelligent people I've ever met in this space, who knows Amazon more than anyone I've ever come across, was a chap called Matt. And then we had a relationship. He came to the event and we kind of got to know each other, and now he's my business partner. So
when was that?
When
was the event when you met Matt and he became your business partner?
I met, I think, last year February in France at an event in the castle.
And now he's your business partner.
And then he came to my event last year, and then as of July this year, he's our business partner.
And do you both sort of manage it from above, like the full team underneath, or is he more intricate in it? Because you're on 4 hours a week, yeah?
I'm on more now because of him. It's just so much fun.
Okay.
It's just so much fun. But there's so anyway, so I went from 16 hours to 4 hours. Then I got bored, and because you need purpose.
That's a cycle, by the way. There's a lot of people that do exactly that, yeah?
And then, so I got bored, and then I moved on to, and then my PA, she was great at that, PA Julie at the time. She said, George, it's really wise of her. She said, you should only do jobs that you can drop at an instant, just in case your health goes bad. Just, you can drop it at an instant, so don't do anything where you're going to need to require commitment. So all the jobs that I do is stuff that I could drop in an instant, right? So I did that, and then I kind of evolved it now to what is the things that only I can do, that no one else can do. Do that. So I'm focusing. This is where I think I'm more unique to most people. I'm focusing 95% of my time on the business all the time. I'm not working in the business, and I have no idea the day-to-day run-ins. Yeah. So I'm spending most of my time.
You see, that is the key to rapid growth, isn't it? The amount of time that you're working on your business.
Yeah.
How has that changed from day one then?
What do you mean?
You know, because now you're doing 95% of your time on the business.
Yeah.
When you started, I'm guessing you were doing all of it in the business, doing it all yourself.
Oh, like some of the things at the moment that we're doing is game changing, right? Because I only need to make, I think I only really need to make a few decisions a year, but I really need to just constantly be thinking. So, I mean, I'm getting more involved now.
Interesting.
I'm getting more involved now, but I'm here with a big decision. So, like one of the things that we're doing now with SEO, the whole SEO landscape's changed. I've signed NDAs on this. I'm not allowed to talk about it, but in detail. But the way you do SEO has completely changed.
As of when?
A few months ago. There's a chap going around.
He's in July, August 2023.
I found out about it June this summer, and we're putting all of our efforts now into how do we make this work, right? And I'm talking, we're not going to see the result of this until the end of the year, but we're putting crazy hours and finances and everything into it right now, because if that blows up, then again, it's always about finding that edge. Like, what is the new thing that we can jump into? Matt coming on board with us now, he's flipped everything upside down. The way we do all of our management, it's so much more superior.
Right.
Like, so much more superior. Another thing to bear in mind is I knew my superpower was people. When I got better, I went crazy. I went to 21 events around the world this year so far.
In the last year?
This year.
This year? Right, 21 events.
Between January and June.
It's beautiful. I mean, look, let me just echo some points here. I know my super strength. I've been to 21 events this year. Yeah. You only know how to go big. You only know how to go serious and jump in.
Have to. And then I drove my team crazy because I was like, George, it's another flight. Where are you going now? I was like, I have to go here. And then whilst I'm at the event, there's an event in Bali. I said, yeah, I'll be there. And I remember there was one time we went from New York back home, Prague, Estonia, then Puerto Rico. I had to come home for one day for a wedding, then Bali, and then back home. And I was broken. By that point, I was like, oh my goodness, I just want to be home now.
Broken and happy.
I was so happy, yeah. Oh, but it's like, and you go into these like incredible resorts, phenomenal resorts. And then my team were like, ROI, George, ROI. Like, you need to think about the ROI about these events. But actually, those relationships I'm making, it's sitting down with someone who is incredibly intelligent, spending time with them, getting to know them, and then they share something they don't share with most people. And it's like, oh my goodness, this whole event has been forget that I spent thousands to sponsor this event and spent so much on flights and just incredible accommodation. Just one conversation, this one evening is gonna pay for all of this. And that's the thing. So for me, I'm always a visionary. I'm always thinking
It's
this
not
is
what
going
you
to be
do, it's who
huge.
you know.
Yeah, and whatever. Yeah, and this is going to be huge. So when my team don't see the results on it, there's been 3 times where I maxed out the bank account, maxed it out, and I was like, trust me, guys, it's for the good, right? And they're like, but we have no, like, where's the money? Just get a loan or something. I don't know. We'll sort it out, right? And then it always comes back. So I'm not reckless spending the money on things like outside the business. I will spend it
On connecting.
and in the business.
Well, you mentioned earlier on, was one of the keys or secrets, I probably said, and you said integrity and consistency.
Yeah.
And I think there's something else there. I think connecting has been part of your secret ingredients, and playing to your strengths.
Yeah.
You know, relationship building, developing friendships, not being egotistical, letting other people share the good stuff.
Yeah.
Having a you're not threatened by anyone else, neither.
Yeah, and then culture is a huge element of it as well. I think my team.
How do you attract A players then for your customers and your team? Because you do. I've done my research behind. You're attracting A players all the time.
There's a few elements. So Jamie, my business coach, ActionCOACH, he's been. I don't know. I haven't even mentioned him. Like when people message me and say, "Oh, what's the ROI on him?" I was like, I can't put a price on what the guy's done, because the one part I forgot to mention is when I got to a stage where I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm working 16 hours a day. This is unsustainable now. I thought, okay, I can go into an account, the PPC account, and I can figure out what's wrong and opportunities instantly and figure it out. There must be someone who could do that with business. Someone who's been in loads of businesses, not theory, but actual practically been in businesses that can help me, right? So I was like, right. So I kind of knew who Jamie was at the time and kind of done some stuff together. I said, look, I'm just going to reach out. And Jamie did say to me, look, we can work together once you get to 500,000 and then just call me. So we kind of surpassed that point. And I said, Jamie, I think I need your help. So he came in and he asked me this one question, which is so simple, but I just couldn't answer it. And he said, what do you want? And I was like, what do you mean? And he went, what do you want? More profit? Do you want more growth? Do you want more time? Do you want more revenue, more profit? All these things, right? So I said, Jamie, I just need some time. I really need some time, right? So create a board. So create this whole board. And I shared it with the team and I said, look, March, this is, I think June, this is around June, July. I said, by March next year, I want to go away for a whole month with no phone, no connected to nothing. And I just want to be able to just live, right? And just do what I want. Okay, help me do this. So we put all the jobs that I do and we looked at who can in the team take that on and who can we externally outsource this to, right? So then we figured all that out, and then Jamie was just literally, we were just hiring, and we got this wrong a few times, right? But we were hiring, and he was gold at like the interview process, asking the right questions, and it was the most fun thing to watch, right? Him on an interview, he say the wrong thing and he'll catch you out. And so we did that. We didn't achieve that by March the following year. We achieved it by December.
Because you'd work backwards from March, and you'd just you'd followed through on what you'd said.
Literally, we just went. I went ham on this. I don't care about growing anymore. I just want time now. We're in a good place. And so end of November, we reached it. And then you got this like little schedule thing you got with coaches, and I just scheduled 15 minutes. And I was like, Jamie, I'm struggling. He goes, well, what's wrong? And I went, I don't know what to do with my time. And he went, well, go take them out for lunch. I said, well, I did that. That's an hour and a half. What do I do with my time? And he went, I don't know. This is what you asked for. And I was like, oh yeah, it's a good point. So then I was like, okay, right. So we achieved it. And I didn't know what to do with myself, right? So then this is a crazy thing, right? And this is a bit off topic, but December, I was so used to working so many hours. December, I just went flat out into cryptocurrency, right? Went crazy into cryptocurrency, right? And I just learned as much as I could, and then I just went all in, right? And then by the following year, I made 500,000, and then I just got out.
In crypto?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, so I bought a nice car, bought an extra flat, and then I was like, right, and I put a bit of money into the business. And then I took everyone to Mexico.
You see, this is what happens.
Yeah.
when you follow through and working on your business and getting it right, you give yourself all of this time to earn more money.
Yeah.
To invest in shares and crypto and another business and buy more property.
Yeah, but it's deeper than that, because in January that year, honestly, this is a godsend, and it rolls me up every time I talk about this, because by January, that's when I got inflammatory bowel disease. I got the diagnosis on the 4th of January, and then I had oats with golden syrup, not knowing that the golden syrup would trigger me. That put me in bedbound for 4 months. 4 months. Jamie, honestly, I always tell him, like, there's no ROI with this. Forget ROI. He saved the business, because for 4 months I couldn't do anything, but I had the structure in place so it could run itself. The funniest thing is, it grew faster without me in it. All I did in those 4 months, I literally just, I forgot, I didn't get around to doing the last piece was just payroll. I just had to do payroll at the end of the month, and that was it. And literally 4 months it took me out. And that was, honestly, yeah.
Amazing.
And I think that's a key thing as well. When you get your business to a certain level, you cannot afford to be the bottleneck. It needs to be self-sufficient. It should never, ever rely on one individual. It needs to be kind of positioned that it can kind of sustain itself.
I do want to ask you one other question before I've got some quick questions for you. You mentioned this probably in the first 10 minutes. Ensure we finish well.
Yeah.
Which is about delivery of what the customer wants, yeah?
Yeah.
How important is that been for your success in your business?
Like, a crazy amount. Like, finishing well, like, relationships are the key thing. You know, people talk about you, and I think anyone that finishes like bad, like we will, you know, if we don't get the results that they were anticipating, even if we think that they're wrong, we will do all we can to finish well. We will pay them back the last month's fee. We will extend our management for another month. We will do everything. Those Trustpilot reviews, we need to keep them good. Right? So like, we have really strong Trustpilot reviews because other people will see it. And there's been times when people went, you know what, you didn't get the results I wanted, but the way you handled all of this has been huge. And look, I can honestly say to you as well, before Matt came on board, we got into a position where we were stuck. And this is where a lot of people can be delusional and not really honest with themselves. We didn't have a superior product to what was in the market. It was the same, right? And we were about to go down this very dangerous route, which was going cheaper than everyone else. It's dangerous. I don't like it. And it unsettled me. And I'm telling you, people can see it in my face. From January this year, I was like, okay, this is a big problem. We've got all these people who are more intelligent and sharing much more sophisticated things than we are. Like, teams of engineers who know how to do this at a level that we're just not at. And we've got this great clientele, and our strong points was effort and communication. Like, those two things kind of we did really well. And obviously we got good results for some accounts. We just, luck of the draw, we got some good accounts. But we needed to level up. And this is when Matt came on. When I shared this with the team, I was in tears. I was like, oh, he signed the contract. It's going to happen now. And he's just proven us completely right. Like literally now, it's getting everything to a certain level. And I think...
that's hiring people better than you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I was like long-winded. So to answer your question about how to hire A players, there's a whole range of things that we do, right? So A players are likely to know other A players. So ask them.
That's a good point.
So ask those A players, who else do you know that is at your level that you can recommend, right? They will not embarrass themselves and bring someone in who's not an A player.
The key there is, who else do you know that's at your level?
At your level.
That's
right?
a compliment at the same time, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Because they know they're good. Now, another thing is, so our interview process has advanced now. So we make everyone do IQ tests, aptitude tests, personality tests, as well as interviews before we hire them. And then it's just kind of... And it's still, you're not going to get that 100%, but we kind of still push. And I think the key thing to bear in mind as well is I was listening to a podcast somewhere, but they were saying how, like, statistically, if you sit a B player next to an A player, a bunch of A players, that B player will become an A player. But if you sit an A player next to a bunch of B players, they won't stay around long. And this is the key thing I'm always worrying is how can I make my A players not only get more, but how can I make the ones that I have stay?
It's a really good share, that whole analogy that you just said there. It's just, picture says 1,000 words. Really fascinating story, by the way. It's amazing stuff in there. I've got some quick questions for you here. What's your favourite book that you've ever read?
The Culture Code.
Daniel Coyle.
Yeah.
Have you read The Talent Code? His other one?
No.
Oh, that's you want A players. You read The Talent Code.
Okay, I'll put that in my list.
Yeah. So The Culture Code, Daniel Coyle, and The Talent Code. The Talent Code was his original, all research, unbelievable book. And I'm really glad you mentioned that because it's never been mentioned on a podcast before ever. So favorite movie.
Man on Fire.
Oh, Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
Now that is a story.
Yeah.
Man on fire. He is on fire in that movie, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
It's just all action packed. You like that kind of
Yeah.
movie, do you?
Yeah.
Taken, Man on Fire.
Yeah. I love action films.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Favorite holiday destination? You've been to loads of places.
This is really hard. The different. Okay, I can break it down to two. There's two places that I would happily go next week if I could find kind of a reason to go. Bermuda.
Yep.
I love Bermuda. It's the place that settles me. I've got a few friends out there as well, so I go.
Have you been through the Triangle?
Yeah, well, yeah, I get that a lot. Yeah, all the time. I made it through all the time, so each time. So Bermuda's one, and then the New Orleans.
Right.
New Orleans is another favourite spot of mine.
And if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Move in between time. So be able to go back and just reminisce in certain places and then go forward and know what's happened and know what's coming.
So be able to move between time. Like it. And are you an early bird or night owl?
I switch. But naturally I'm an early bird.
How early?
I used to get up 6 a.m. all the time, but now I prioritise sleep. So
how many hours sleep do you get at night?
I'm fortunate to have the luxury of being able to just not have to get up early. So I've got an Oura ring, and I ensure that I sleep 8-9 hours a day, every day.
Yeah, Oura ring measures all of your sleep patterns.
Yeah.
It tells you how deep you've been sleeping.
Yeah.
So you get 8 to 9 hours sleep per night.
Yeah.
If you could have one day in somebody else's life, who would you choose?
Mandela.
Why would you choose Mandela?
How can you be so compassionate and keep going after so many years being locked up in prison? I think just that part of his life after he leaves prison.
Compassionate and persistence.
Yeah.
He's definitely got it, hasn't he? Incredible human being. And who've been the 3 biggest trusted advisors in your life?
So there's a guy called Andrew Moore, rest in peace, a wonderful man.
What did you get from Andrew?
So he advised me a lot with the business stuff when I was starting off.
Yeah, advised at the start. Yeah, who else?
A guy called Graham Claydon. He's my spiritual guide. So anything in life that's unsettling, he's like a good guy to talk to. Oh, he's an old boy.
Has Christianity really helped you?
Christianity is the centre of everything I do.
Yeah.
It's in the centre of all.
Yeah, and I noted on my notes here earlier on, you've done a lot of volunteering as well.
I still do.
You still do?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing how many successful people all volunteer.
Yeah. The reason I set the business up was I could have more time to do the Christian youth camps that we have in the summer. And I still do that now, and I'm on the board of trustees. And I try and get as involved as I can with that. I do youth clubs every week at my church as well. They're just my favourite things. And these are things that I do not compromise.
Yeah.
I'm there.
So 3 biggest trusted advisors in your life.
Oh, and the last one is Jamie.
What do you get from Jamie?
Advice about business and people.
Yeah, he's your coach. So,
Yeah, he's my business coach, yeah.
Business and people.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing that the listeners should do, having listened to this, what would you encourage them to do?
Do. Just do. Like, there's so many people who procrastinate. Do. Like, if you do 10 things in the next 5 years, 10 things, 9 of them fails, who cares? That one that works out will change everything. Like, I was talking about my successes today. We would need 5 hours to talk about all the times I have just epically flopped. But I will just keep doing and doing and doing. Just do. That's one word.
Do you know what? Like, it's really struggling to have a favourite bit. I love the fact that you said right at the start, it can destroy you. I love the fact that then you said, you've got to finish well. Every customer, we must finish well. But my favourite bit of today has been observing how committed you've been, literally going around the world to connect with the world's best. And in doing so, you've become the epicenter for the world's best, even in your mastermind. And, you know, the story of going to Vegas and the Japanese restaurant that you brought the 5 or 10 people that came to it.
The one thing to also include in that, it is so much fun, right? So just bear that in mind. Like, doing that stuff I get such a kick from it,
yeah.
Right? So it's not like, oh, it's Monday. This is, oh my goodness, like, what's today going to bring? Oh, I'm going to this event. I'm so excited. So it's like going on holiday every single time. So obviously it wears you out, and there's some events that are not as good as others, but yeah, it's so much fun.
What's been your favourite part of today, this conversation?
All of it. I don't think I can really... It's good to kind of put things into perspective and just kind of realise, okay, this is where I'm at now. And actually it's very unusual for like someone like my age and stuff to be in this position. So
Well
a lot
done.
of gratitude, yeah, thank you.
George Meressa, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey there, James here with an exciting announcement. The BizX Awards is coming to the ACC Liverpool from the 18th to the 19th of April with an incredible lineup of speakers. You're going to meet the likes of Stephen Mulhern, Donald Miller, Deborah Meaden, and many, many more. Book your spot right now at bizx.co.uk. And if you've enjoyed listening to the Business Excellence podcast, make sure to comment your top learnings and favourite moments, as well as like and subscribe. See you next time.